And welcome to Just to Serve TV. I'm telling you right now, it's Monday. We're supposed to ease into these things, but apparently we're not going to. We have an exclusive update for you on the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. We have a crazy story of Proctor Factor. There's more of that going on. Apparently something going on with Linda's shoes as well, and much more.
Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
All right, so I see a lot of gadgetry.
We have gadgetry
I see a lot of
tonight.
gadgetry. Let's start with first of all, weekend. Was it good? Good weekend?
Yeah, I actually I'll post pictures later on my Instagram. We went to a pig roast. I felt very bad for the pig.
Well, yeah, they are the victim of a pig roast. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about
there's
that.
like I was looking for the homicide. I asked where'd the homicide take place? Where's the pig?
Did they have crime scene tape around the cookout?
No, but they, interesting enough, we go to these things and people think we're weird because we look at a corn rake and we see murder, right? And it was like, oh, you people, that's what we do for a living.
True. It is frightening. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what's the deal with the shoe?
Well, don't we have a rip and read? Then the shoe.
We got a few. So it's part of a rip and read.
Not rip and read. The one that
Okay.
you would, yeah.
Let's find out. Okay, then start with your shoe, and then I got a couple things myself.
You see all these spotlights? Don't you have? I'm frozen. I'm frozen in
You
a
are
very
frozen.
non-flattering position.
But I can see the lights reflecting off the glass.
Yeah,
I can
can
see
we?
that.
Can we?
And
maybe.
she's going, oh, no, she's back the other way.
I know, back the other way, but
There we go.
that's very unflattering.
I got to get some Dramamine.
But the River Reed has to do with a burglary that took place this weekend. Do you know what burglary that was?
It was just yesterday. Actually, you know what? I was
My
amazed that
shoe.
it took place in the morning, and it involved one of these, a
What is that?
grinder, involved one of these,
Ooh,
a torch,
yeah.
and some shoes.
Well, no, it was at the Louvre, and the French crown jewels were stolen. We talk about it a little more, but they're really beautiful. I have to
Crazy
tell
story.
you, I don't know if you're looking for the Rip and Read. If anyone's been out looking for the French crown jewels, I mean, they're just
There they are.
they're just.
That's-
Well, I didn't say I'm not confessing to anything. I just thought that it'd be an evening that we should just dress up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
There was a crown that they didn't get away with. They dropped it on the way out the door.
This is the one they.
That's the crown?
That's the crown they didn't get away with. I think
Wow.
it's just absolutely beautiful. Look at all those pearls and all. This one's a tiara, actually, not a crown.
Ah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only partway around.
And this, I mean, how could you not love this? And so I had to dress up. We have the shoes to match, and
That's where the shoe comes in. Okay.
We have. Look at these bracelets. Oh my!
And they've not
gracious.
caught these guys yet. They're looking guys.
Guys?
Individuals. Four
Guys?
individuals. Might be
They're
guys.
obviously they're here in New York City because I have spotlights all over me, Michael.
Yes. Oh, you think they're searching the neighborhood? So here's how if they valued all the belongings at all of the goods.
I read it, but I don't remember.
They said we can't put a value on it. I'm sorry, we just can't put a value on it. So I have to, as long as we're doing kind of showing where we are, who we are, and what's going on here. Let me take you back not all that long ago. Oh, look at that! There it is.
Oh, there you are.
That's the Louvre. That's actually my son Jake, and that's my wife
Jake.
Lisa.
That's
I
Jake.
was taking the photo.
Looks like you. It looks like you though, Jake.
Yeah. I wouldn't wish that on the kid, but so then you have let's see. Let's go inside. Shall we go inside real quick?
Yeah.
Now I will say I don't think I saw those exact jewels. It is a monstrous place. The Louvre is just
Gorgeously
massive.
I mean,
Beautiful,
big.
yeah, beautiful. And here's the Mona Lisa from afar. So you can see people are just always, you've been there before, right?
Yes.
People
right.
are always just massive huddling around it. But there it is, that little thing right there. Okay. And let me see if I can give you
And this
one
is the
more.
Apollo. This took place in the Apollo Gallery.
And this is when you actually get kind of close enough to see how small it really is. There it is. It's right there behind us, and
Oh, look at the three of you. Like
it's
you
ve-
were, you know what? I'm concerned now because I have a
Mhm.
feeling I know why the spotlights are on me because you are going to be accused of scoping out the
Yeah, you
place
can't
for
see the
me.
picture, but this was held down below the camera.
What was that for? What was that for?
The angle, this is called an angle grinder, and they had a battery powered, of course, because they didn't want an extension cord. I would turn it on, but it is so loud.
Well,
But
come on,
this
turn
is
it on. Let me hear. Let me hear
no,
what the
I
people
didn't
were
even plug it
listening.
in because I didn't plan on turning it on.
Oh
It's
my
not
goodness.
if you're not sitting here hearing it, it's not gonna be impressive. It's gonna sound like noise. It's loud in a room. It's loud. Anyway, so they were going to use this. They smashed these cases that had the jewels in them, but I guess for locks to get access to that part of the museum, they thought they needed this. They had that big extension ladder, almost like a fireman's extension ladder. They parked outside and pumped up to the first floor. Why do they call it the first floor? You know, in Europe, there's 0 is the ground floor,
Right.
and then 1 is the second floor, but they call it the first floor. So the ladder took them up to the first floor, which was the area in which all these jewels were.
I'm shocked that
cased.
just say glass that you could break a window.
Yeah.
And then I watched all these Tom Cruise movies, right? You had to go in through lasers, and you get your butt under things, and you fell to the floor like this, and then couldn't open the cases. They just smashed the cases,
And there were security guards there that they basically just warned. They said, they basically said, just stay out of the way. Oh, this has
there
nothing
you
to do.
are.
There's Venus de Milo.
Oh,
Venus de
wow.
Milo.
Venus and the Apollo room is close by, right?
I'm disrespecting it clearly. Venus de Milo. Yeah, they have like wings, and this is all in the parallel wing, not quite.
Not quite.
There,
Yeah.
there is jewels area. That's really what you got, are a lot of jewels. Anyway, well, good luck to the gendarme getting their men and women, and hopefully it doesn't hit too close to your home.
I guess maybe I will. You know what? Maybe I've put enough out here for now that perhaps I should, take away.
You better put those back in the safe.
Yeah, I better put them back in the safe because, there could be somebody out looking to buy these from me, or somebody could be looking for me pretty soon. But the lights are still here. The spotlights are still here.
Yeah. So it's basically your place is a perpetual crime scene. Okay, so let's jump into. We do have an exclusive on Ms. Fitzsimmons. We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to bring you up to speed on some of these other Massachusetts messes. The proc de facto, as everybody knows, he was supposed to be going back to court tomorrow and right through the middle of the week to continue his fight. It wasn't really court. It's kind of a council that involves public servants and services. If you want your job back, you go through them. And he canceled it. On Saturday, he executed a document through his attorney saying, I'm withdrawing that. Why would he do that? Any guess why he would do that?
Well, because when you forget that, or you don't know, or you don't understand that just because you bought, and I've hidden my iPhone away so the gendarmes don't find it, right? Just because you bought a new iPhone, if you have the same Apple account and you've stored all your messages in iCloud, all right, they're still there.
Captured by the cloud.
12 years.
So he's so dumb. He buys a new phone February of 2024 and puts it in this default mode where every 30 days your stuff is just erased, but not from the cloud. So they get the search warrant to turn over that phone number, and they have everything from 2013 to present. And let's just say it's suspected, and some sources suggest proven, that there's misogynist material on there. Shocking. Racist material, homophobic material. He may not have wanted that out there and decided that the attempt to get his job back, if he really thought he was going to, I think that's nuts anyway, but his attempt in and of itself might bring some of that stuff to light. So he bailed out. Now that doesn't mean it is not going to come to light at some point.
Oh no, it's not, because it's actually was filed under, was very interesting. It's filed under the Brian Walsh docket.
Yes,
but it's for the Miles King murder case,
and everybody's got their hands in that pot.
Yeah, text messages and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting because when I represent the sports players, they get seminars every year when they come in. they are actually told, and at least my clients were told, never activate your iCloud or your cloud on your phone. And then they would throw away their phones. So anything, Pat, what do you think Brady, remember he was going through Deflategate, there were so many phones because they get rid of their phones after a period of time because the messages are just local on the phones and you just get rid of them.
And they're not technically burners, but that's kind of how they treat them.
That's how they treat them like burners, and they're not going to an iCloud. And that's with every sports figure I have absolutely represented.
So that takes us to the Brian Walsh case, which, among other things connected to this mess, are these federal documents that we know were turned over in the Karen Reed case. Obviously, that led to the Proctor factor and the ex-Proctor factor. But maybe there's other stuff. So the Miles King case, the Brian Walsh case, all of the attorneys want that stuff. Well, what did they do today? This is classic. We talked about this before, the old Fox guard in the hen house.
Right.
So the prosecution has decided, hey, there's only certain things that are responsive that you guys on the defense might want. We're going to do a list, and we'll just give you the stuff what we believe is responsive, and don't worry about the rest. Now, the judge, hearing this for the first time, said, all right. He said, out of an abundance of caution, and I think maybe to do the right thing, he's having a follow-up hearing once everybody's had a chance to look at the index and decide if that satisfies them. If they're crazy on the defense side, it satisfies them. I'd never be satisfied. I'm not letting the prosecution tell me what may or may not help my case.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Never in a million years. And we argue that a lot of times at defense counsel. Oh, well, we were supposed to, the Brady was here. We have a Brady unit to tell you whether this is Brady. I want to see it. You tell me, I'll let you know whether it's I want it or not.
At least with the Brady unit, it's arguably a third party, almost like a taint team. Still not great, but the prosecutor, there's so many cases where the prosecution is put in charge of that, and all hell breaks loose because you cannot trust them. It's sad, but you can't. So the judge has put a new hearing on the calendar for next Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday, the 30th. Why is it? It's kind of odd, maybe. The 31st is the return or destroy date, which the federal court had extended the original return or destroy date to. It was originally 30. They extended it another 60. So that's coming up next Friday. And so the judge is saying, get in here on Thursday. I'm not sure what the judge can do with that, that 24-hour period. That's a federal decision. I guess he could reach out. Hello? This is my phone. Hello, Judge. He could reach out and suggest that the federal court extended because of A, B, and C. I don't know. I just think they're putting it way too close.
Well, you know what? Here's an issue now with the federal courts. The federal courts, by the way, except for like really important things, they're kind of closed. All right. On my civil cases, we're not even allowed to text chambers, email chambers. Now, if you have a major criminal case, as we saw Farwell last week, they were open for that. But other than that, I think there's some issues with regard. Is this considered? Do you have to get permission? Or can one state judge call one federal judge and say, hello.
Very odd. But it is a criminal matter in federal court, so perhaps they are still awake and on the job. So they
are, but it's the ancillary units that aren't necessarily funded, and that's really what the problem is. Let's just give you a couple things, by the way, just before we go with Joey Kane.
Thanks, bud.
8 months seemed like only yesterday. Talk Channel.
I don't feel like I've been here 8 months.
Well, some days when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what day is it? Who am I? What's my work? What's Justice Service TV? Where am I going? I do. And also gifted one Justice Serve TV membership, then gifted his follow-up Justice Serve TV membership. Joey always is so gracious. Thank you very much. And let me just say, you have to be a subscriber to receive those gifted memberships. They're already assigned. Somebody's already gotten them in our
bot somewhere has assigned them.
Some bot has assigned them. You have to be a subscriber, and you have to be a subscriber to chat, and that's how you get assigned these. And people love them because they're expensive, and Joey's always so generous gifting them. So please hit that subscribe, share, like, and notify button, especially subscribe for you. It's very important. And then if you want to become a member, we do have some member things that we're going to be announcing tomorrow that are going to be actually posted this week, and you don't want to miss them. But stay tuned for tomorrow. That's like a little tease that you have to come back tomorrow. Yeah. But today, hit subscribe.
And I did over the weekend. We posted a members only, which I think I converted today. which was an update on a Karen Reed matter. So we try to post that stuff for the members and give them a little something. Joey not only generous with the memberships but with the pastries as well. So very
you're wearing the pastries. I know you're wearing the pastries.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be coming about again next week from this Thursday. The court will have another look at that. On Monday is another Walsh pretrial. What's happening on Monday, this week from today? We'll find out if he's competent, if Brian Walsh is competent to stand trial. Remember, they pushed the trial date. It's now the November 18th, I think, is the official date. Obviously, that's going to be dependent on the court finding that he's competent to stand trial. Is it going to happen? I don't know. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be happening on Monday. So now the exclusive information we have about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I began, I think Saturday morning, I learned a little something about what was happening. As folks know, they filed an emergency petition with the SJC, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. It was a request for what's called a single justice review. They have 7 on the court, but you can say, hey, give me one justice. We want fast action on this. And they did. They got some fast action denied. The request was made to overturn Judge McCarthy's decision that if Kelsey Fitzsimmons, who was shot during the altercation, which is the underlying matter in this case, if she couldn't do the scram, the breathalyzer alcohol testing required by terms of her release. Yeah, it's kind of like this, but not quite like this. If she couldn't do that because of the pain it was caused as a result of the injuries, then she's certainly much safer in jail. That's when the court sent her to jail. That spawned the emergency petition. That led to the single justice saying, no.
Dewar.
Yeah, just Dewar. Yes, Ms. Elizabeth Dewar, the Honorable.
I had such hopes for her.
I know. So let's see how that all shakes out, because the exclusive tidbit is a notice has been filed now to have this matter heard. I'll say en banc, although you usually use that in the context of a decision by the court. This is a request to the court, meaning the entire panel. And it's part of the process in Massachusetts. It's unusual, again, because so is a single justice request. That's a bit
so that motion has been fired. So exactly,
notice,
it was fired.
Yes, and I mentioned on the weekend that I thought it was coming, and I have confirmation that it was filed. There should be a follow-up memorandum of sorts. But as I mentioned on the weekend,
so what is it called? What is it called now? What's this motion called?
It's a motion. It's a reconsideration in the form of a petition for the entire court. And what they do is they look at the existing paperwork that's been filed. So whatever memorandum there may be, whatever follow-up there may be, probably not much more than a reference to the original filing. I don't think you're prohibited from filing more, but I think in general it is based primarily on what you have already filed, which also helps it be a little speedier.
So it's kind of like the federal court. When I go up to the federal court and I have a 1 judge or a panel of 3 judges decide, I can, and there's a 2-1 decision, let's say, because there's a split, I can ask for a hearing en banc for all 9 justices of the appellate courts, the circuit, what they call circuit courts, the federal courts, to hear that petition that I have. And then they get to vote on it. If 5 votes to say they will hear it, they will all hear it, and there'll be an en banc decision.
Yeah, and unlike the Supreme Court of the U.S., SCOTUS, as they say, it's not really discretionary. The court today just decided not to hear a case. I can't remember the guts of it, but it was announced that they had not decided it was a high-profile case. They said, we're not going to take it. In this general situation, they don't really have that option. Basically, they could deny it, but it's almost a merits denial rather than we're not even going to look at it. So here's the rule, okay? Here's the basic rule. Appealing. This is your basic rule 2.21, appealing from single justice denial, okay? Here's one of the caveats, okay? And it'll lead us back to the single justice's decision. When a single justice denies relief from a challenged interlocutory ruling in the trial court and does not report the denial of relief to the full court, I don't know by reporting if they mean, officially or what. The party denied relief may appeal the single justice's ruling to the full court unless the court otherwise orders. The notice of appeal shall be filed with the clerk of the Supreme Judicial Court. In this case, it was for Suffolk County, but Essex is the same. Within 7 days of the entry of the judgment appealed from. I was speculating over the weekend that 7 days, it's safe to consider that to be calendar days. If you start thinking, well, it's probably just business days, I got till the end of the week, then you may screw yourself. So I believe it's calendar days, and the notice has now been filed. And that highlighted part is critical. Unless the single justice or the full court orders otherwise, neither the trial nor the interlocutory ruling in the trial court shall be stayed. So, in other words, doesn't help Kelsey Fitzsimmons immediately, unless there's some.
She's not leaving jail unless and until they decide to take this en banc and make a decision.
Yep.
That reverses what we've heard.
As it says here, well, let's see if I can find out. There we go. The appeal shall be presented to the full court on the papers filed in the single justice session, including any memorandum of decision, 9 copies of the record appendix, which must be filed in the office of the clerk for the Supreme Judicial Court for the Commonwealth. That's obviously 7 for the justices, maybe 1 for the clerk, and 1 for the hell of it. The record appendix shall be accompanied by 8 copies of a memorandum of not more than 10 pages. I like that, how they limit the bloviate nature of some of these filings. The appellant must set forth the reasons why review of the trial court decision cannot adequately be obtained on appeal from any final adverse judgment in the trial court. They got that nailed since they made a motion for reconsideration. Right. No response from the prevailing party shall be filed. And that's interesting, right?
Right. That's great. Actually, that's
unless requested. The court could say, hey, we need some of this.
Right. But the whole point is that it's supposed to be very clear from your papers that you need relief, and we don't want to hear from the other side. By the way, speaking about people that are watching us, Michael, but before you go on, Madeira Beach caregiver, I just want to give a shout out to. She's actually been a member for 10 months. She says actually a year, but after YSL, she renewed her membership under Madeira Beach caregiver name, and she's arriving in New York City to celebrate David Bowie in January.
Wow.
Hopefully, New York City will still be here. We hope.
Well, let's see. If the new when do they? I think the new mayor takes over like in December, right? Like the November election and December 1st, it's the new mayor. That's what I recall. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. There's gonna be a full month under communist rule. We'll see what happens. And I don't know, David Bowie, would he like that? Oh, he's not around anymore. What's the event?
NBC.
What's the event? Tell us.
Tell us what the event is.
Yeah,
we need something to celebrate, because when we're talking about we're talking about this here. One of the things, have you seen the reasons for this appeal? It seems to me that, we were all excited with Judge Dewar. I was really excited with Judge Dewar. And by the way, I have been invited back to Harvard.
Yes, there's been a mistake. There's been a mix-up in the mail.
On the adjunct trial advocacy workshop in January, that first week in January again. So you'll probably need a guest host for that week, but I am going back to Massachusetts, and it'd be interesting to see what judges are.
Maybe they'll stack you up with Judge Bev. That would be the best.
She's actually in the 3rd week. I'm in the 1st week. The
who knows?
Judges are usually, but who knows? The first time I was actually there, with also another first timer, and her name that I was sitting at the lunch table. That's the first time we meet. Was Judge Ketanji?
Oh, Jackson.
Brown. Jackson. Yeah. Yes. So who knew that I was going to be sitting with a member of the future Supreme Court? I have you.
You
and
could
they
be the
have
next
each
one
other.
Talked about for the Supreme Court. You're rubbing those elbows. You're rubbing those elbows.
I was asked to be a judge early on in my career, and I said never in a million years. While I could be very judicial, I'd probably be one of the best judges in the world. I would never want to do that.
If you don't say so yourself.
I would know if I don't. No, I would be, because I'd be fair. I try to be fair.
You try to do the right thing, I think.
I try to do the right thing.
But you couldn't take the pay cut. So, that's the tough part. Okay, let me finish this.
There is wearing those black robes every day.
Yeah, well, you can wear with some nice pearls. Let me finish this before we move on. Okay. Number 4, remember with the U.S. Supreme Court, the default position is, no, we're not taking it. We only take a handful, right? It's the opposite with this. The full court will consider the appeal on the papers submitted pursuant to this rule, unless it otherwise orders. So their default position is, we're gonna take a look at it. So that's what we hope should happen. I thought I saw a time provision on here. Whenever you put expedited, it's kind of a crapshoot as to what that means. But they did act pretty quickly, unfortunately denying, but they did act pretty quickly with the original. So we'll see what happens when this goes up to the full the full load of 7.
That's it.
justices.
You know, and I was praising them. Remember, I told you they have some of the greatest opinions on forensics in the United States. They're usually forward thinking. But this, and I know we're going to talk about her reasons for denial because I was shocked. I just don't think she quite got it. But Madeira Beach caregiver decided to answer you. Michael
good.
Bryant, David Bowie was born in
10-year. I cannot believe it's been.
I can't believe.
My brother-in-law is
I can't believe it.
He is a major fan. We went to there was an exhibit in New York not too many years ago. It was after he died, but not maybe 3 or 4 years ago. There was a real experiential kind of exhibit for David Bowie. We went to that because he's a major fan.
Well, I didn't know annual event in the cutting room. We did not know that. So maybe
there you go.
Maybe you want.
Maybe that's where I went.
Maybe that's where you want to bring your brother-in-law. And
he's in the Philippines now, so I'm not going to bring him.
Yeah, not going to bring.
Draw the line at the international date line. That's
okay.
it.
777 Texas, member for 5 months, almost half a year. Love spending time with you. We love having you. I know it's a very welcoming community here, except when it's not, and that's usually because if we get attacked, we tend to attack back. But that's just us, we don't suffer fools. Well, I guess is what we should be saying. Where did that come from?
I don't know. Is that
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Shakespeare, the Bible. I don't know.
Michael Bryant.
No, that one is not mine. I got a couple of axioms. I cannot claim that one.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Let's do this just to refresh recollection, and let me see if I can find it. Because the one quick caveat about being able to bring that matter to the whole court is, hey, well, what about the single justice? Did she do anything to preclude that from happening?
Right.
Which would really be like,
really interesting. That's a really interesting thing in the rule,
Mm-hmm. And you can see that not only did she not do that, because it would have been laid out separately, but in this footnote, she says, as the Commonwealth notes, nothing prevents the defendant from requesting relief pursuant to the same provision, if and when the defendant can make a showing that information exists that was not known at the time of the hearing, or that there has been a change in circumstance. We know that's not going to happen for a number of reasons. That's why they're going the route to have the entire Supreme Judicial Court take a look at it, because I think the position of the defense is, if we next appear in front of Judge McCarthy, it's going to be to get her bounced. And so,
I said that to you because you know what she would do if you appeared in front of her and said, "Change circumstances, I can now breathe." She'd probably haul their asses all off in jail, including the attorneys at this point, because she's not going to take that. I mean, I just think she'd be waiting. Even if she did take it for 30 seconds, in 60 seconds, she'd put her back in jail. Okay, there'd be some reason. She didn't even give any credibility to their own probation department. It does this for a living every day in and day out. So how much experience does the Judge Duar have? She hasn't been on the bench that long.
No, I looked at her bio last time. She's been on the bench since January of 2024, but her background was not as a judge. Her background is primarily, she was a trial attorney for a while. Then she clerked a lot. Among others, she clerked for Justice Breyer for the Supreme Court. So more academic's probably not the best way to put it, but it's kind of more academia than in the trenches, right?
Okay.
And so she really hasn't had a lot of experience as a high-level judge or at the trial court level either. So,
or as a trial attorney, then apparently.
Just a little bit of that. She was with a firm early on, it seems, and then she went into the
was
clerking role for everybody.
Yeah, and then she was attorney general for a while, I think. When
she filled in for, I think it was 23, maybe, and not to besmirch clerks, because clerks do a lot of the opinion writing.
Yes, I know that. Clerk ones for
and so they're doing the grunt work, behind the scenes, and then obviously the justice they work for is signing off on it and guiding them and all of that. But the clerk is not just like bringing
that's how you learn
clips and staplers.
No, that's how you learn about the standard of review. That's how the judge.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in this particular
that's why I
case,
mentioned it for a purpose, because that was one of the first lessons I learned.
She screwed this up. Justice Duar screwed that up, because we knew going in, having read the law, that the standard of review should have been de novo, meaning you look at it anew, new trial. Trial is kind of in quotes because it wasn't truly a trial, but new, which means you can entertain evidence that was never presented before. And she used the phrase abuse of discretion, which is a version of review, but not this one, not the right one. So abusive discretion was inappropriately applied. So I don't know if that means, she's just not experienced or she just purposely misdirected people. I don't know, but she used the wrong standard. And here's another thing that we've talked about
explain
before.
to everybody what de novo is.
Well, de novo, it just means new. I mean, of new,
But
meaning
new eyes.
outside things can come back in. You're not limited to the record from below. That's the bottom line. And speaking of the record from below, we were wondering, she references very specifically. Let me see if I can find it here. I just put this doc away, but I think it's worth taking a look at again. Check this out. She says up here, following close review, blah, 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 the Commonwealth's opposition and appended materials, including transcript of the hearing. Transcript of the hearing.
Transcript. Here
Now,
we go again.
that made me think, that's pretty specifically identified. If she listened to the audio, and everybody who has is pretty sure that Judge McCarthy is out of her brain. But if you didn't listen to it and you just looked at the raw transcript, maybe you don't get enough of that impression. We know that Tim Bradel supplied a thumb drive, right? Which was the audio of the hearing. Now, here's the situation. She agrees that she looked at a transcript of the hearing. We know that they submitted a thumb drive of the audio. I can't make the leap to think, well, then she must have listened to the audio. I do not assume that at all. So
I don't assume it because, as I've told you in the past, that many courts don't use the audio as the record. They don't consider that it's the record. The certified record. The certified record is a transcript, and you find that in many courts. We found that even when you want to give a closing statement of courts, and you ask the court to use, let's say you and I are the pool cameras, and we're streaming, right? And we want to use a clip of somebody sitting on the witness stand to remind the jury what they said. A court will say sometimes that many courts will say you can't do that. That's not considered the record. I had that happen in Massachusetts. That's the case in Massachusetts. I've had that happen in California where the judge did allow it, but then instructed the jury that it's only the transcript that's the record. So, it depends on the court. And I have a feeling Massachusetts doesn't consider that, court TV or long crime or Justice Served TV, pool camera coverage as, or anybody else, Boston 20, anybody as the certified record.
And it's interesting, too, because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that recording was not a media outlet. I think it was the court system, which suggests that if you're going to take anything, wouldn't you take the court's
That's what
internal
I
system?
would think. That's what I would think. I would think that's even better because the person who was transcribing from the court system is certified and they're listening to the transcript. That's Boston 25. I'm sorry, not Boston 25. So,
yeah, I think we already know your answer to this.
Yes.
I gave it some serious thought, and to really determine whether I wanted to or not. I did judge like some beauty contests. I did, but no.
Okay, so that leads us into when we said we were going to do this show. All right, all of you know that we all have personal lives, and we interject our personality and our feelings into how we view things. So that we always say this show is law, crime, justice mixed in with a lot of Michael Bryant's humor and a lot of my fashion, right? That we do. And I see that in comments. Somebody said, what is this, a fashion show? Yeah, well, sometimes it is. And on that note, I will point out there's been some talk in the chat about my lipstick, Common Sense Investigator. Now, if you watch the Jimmy Auntie Deb that I do with makeup, I'm really big for layering. So what this is something called Atomic Cherry Red. I forget who makes it. It was something in an Instagram feed. I liked it. I bought it. Okay. And then I wipe it off. And then I put something called Luminescence pink powder over it to dab it up. And then I put my standard MAC Angel lipstick over that. So you have three things here going with my lipstick. I know somebody else wanted the details. That's the details, everyone.
That's a whole hell of a lot of work. I personally have my Blistex, which is a lovely one. This flavor is I think it's Mango Blast. which is lovely.
Yes. Oh, yum,
Delicious.
yum.
Domino likes this when I put this on. It's very fruity. Where were we going with this? So we'll obviously tomorrow. I'm thinking we may have the memorandum that goes along with the notice of further appeal. I will call it. It may have something in it, may not. Don't know. But I think back to our issue with the transcript and whether she listened to the audio or not.
Right.
She may have thought in her mind that listening to the audio was beyond what she was allowed to do, because in her mind it was not a de novo review, or at least if it was, she didn't say so. She could have easily said, I was provided the audio but did not listen to it because the standard here is abuse of discretion, not de novo. That would have been flat ass wrong and easy to spot. But we can just second guess, well, why would you not say including hearing audio recording of the hearing if you actually listen to it? So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and also the fact that she said that there was not an abuse of discretion, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Why use that? You say on my review that there was no violation of the law, and the judge was within the rights to do this. Period.
And that's why with any appeal, when you're doing the paperwork, there's a subheading for standard of review.
Right.
Very clearly, you cite the cases to it, and for whatever the case may be, it's either abuse of discretion, clear and convincing, or whatever it may be, or de novo. So,
all right. So my fashion has gone as a little bit astray, but let's Joyce Behar.
Yeah, I've been wondering this myself.
You take a tissue and you blot the first lipstick. That's the atomic cherry red in this case. With this something a brand I don't normally use. You all know that I tend to use Chanel products on my face and my lips. You blot that, and then you put the powder over this luminescence powder. It's a pink powder. It's by the way, you'll see it all over the place. If you start buying it, it'll be coming to you in your Instagram, your Facebook, or whatever. But it's a really great pink for layering and for blotting. And then the angel lipstick just goes right over that.
Whew. I'm telling you right now, I'm so glad I'm not a girl or a woman, lady. That's just so much work. I'm telling you, I get
so much fun.
I got a haircut last week, and it was traumatic. So it's just that's a lot.
So why don't we go back to here, because let's go back to the law, because we do have something to offer, because we are lawyers and have had all these cases and all. I understand this judge was just the lower court judge is just pisses me off. Okay, just pissed me off. I've been in that situation. Things you're supposed to be fair, and I think I've said to you in the past, watching this decision and watching a number of things that happened in the Karen Reed trial just were unfair. And I'm watching Perry Mason right now, right, or Matlock, I guess it is right now. Matlock. Things are supposed to be fair. It's supposed to be fair. I want it to be fair. It's not fair anymore. And it's just.
And it's that fundamental fairness that slaps you in the face, and you think, well, why don't they see this? And if they do see it and don't care, why are they still on the bench or a prosecutor or law enforcement? How do they get away with that? We're seeing some cracks, when we see a proctor fired. Okay, but look how bad that had to get. That had to get outrageous before it actually happened. So.
And not only that wouldn't have happened if the feds hadn't gotten involved for the issue of corruption, because this has to do with his personal phone. And if you want to go get a personal phone as a lawyer in any case, so you want to save evidence in a case, the judges aren't going to give you access to the personal cell phone of the cops in a case. They're just not. The feds got that, and that's how he's into this. Or else that's why do you think? Why do you think he was using it for all these years?
Of course, and they being the authorities would be right in denying that request, because it should be just for their official phone.
And
so you're right.
The judges would slam you as defense attorney and say you
can't have that. And so because of that, these folks are using their private phones. Maybe not as much anymore. Maybe the proctor factor will help some folks. Thank you, East Texas Alice.
Now they'll just use throwaways, right? Now they'll just use throwaways. That's all. I mean, that's what's good. That's what they're going to try to stay one step ahead here. So, I mean, I just think that it's just but 12 years. I'd love to have Mike Easter on again to talk about this.
I forgot I was going to send him a note, because we were going to talk about the Cellbrite weird videos that they put out,
right,
about how our software sucks.
Right.
Remember that? Very weird. I do want to. I'm trying to remember to reach out to him. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, sweetie, no says if you use the phone to discuss work, it's discover anyway, isn't it? He'll never say he used the phone to discuss work. That's what happens. They deny. They say that's a personal phone. We don't use that phone today. We
Yeah,
have our.
of
We have
course.
our. Just like they used to be on radios all the time, and you would get what's in the radio, but they'd have a cell phone, and the judges never gave you that. They said, well, the radios are their official cop business. You're not allowed
That's
to
right.
have their cell phone.
Oh, I predict going forward. It may take too long, but I predict what will happen is there will be cases appealed that are based on the use of a private phone versus a company or a law enforcement phone. And there will be a process by which you will be able to get into personal phones of public officials. If there's a third party that can review the material, and it won't be the prosecutor, it'll be a true third party, so that if there is in fact exculpatory material, it will be turned over to the other side. But I think it'll take a while for that whole process to evolve. But the Proctor factor is a good kick in the ass to start the process.
One way to put it. Now we have to deal with the courts because the courts are being courty. They're being roby. They're being roby. They're being authoritarian. I don't know what even to call it anymore. I just this case is so it's me. We're going to be running on Thursday. We're going to be running a show dealing with abuse of discretion. We will have Marty Tankleff on about wrongful convictions, and we'll be talking about that case that's in the news in New York with 41 years, and now they say they have the right person after.
That's the Teresa Fusco case, right?
The Teresa Fusco case of putting the wrong people in jail and then fighting them to give them any type of money and then lambasting them. So it's all part of the same system. This whole corruption system, this whole misuse of power system, and to me it just seems like when. There's no issue here on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. This is no issue. And then she's fighting the other fight, Michael Bryant. She's fighting the fight against the baby daddy.
The baby daddy, Justin, I'm calling him Alien because I don't think he's of this world the way he's approaching this. But I don't think it's pronounced quite like that. But interestingly now, in that case, while all this other stuff is brewing in terms of the review by the full SJC, on Thursday is a hearing in which the baby daddy and he's asked for this hearing to be accelerated. It was going to be, it's relating to the real estate. He wants all the equity in the real estate in the home owned by Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
By her, with her parents putting the money down for it.
Yeah, he doesn't own it. He has no right to it. He's not, they're not married. So how does he do that? What's his in? Well, I've got the child now. And as a result of the temporary order, which involved taking the child from Kelsey Fitzsimmons, gave him total custody, prohibited her from any contact with her own son, 5-month-old son, now 7 months, I think, right? So that's his hook. He says, I need the equity in that house to take care of the kid.
For 18 years.
Of course.
18 years. Okay.
Of course. And so first, he brings the motion to attach those proceeds. Well, what happens then is they apparently either have a deal on the home or a contingent deal, and it could close, who knows when. So he asked the court to accelerate the hearing date to this Thursday, and the court said, okay. So that's what
filed what's called a short order. The court filed a short order.
Yes, and I think I've got.
Right.
If you want to see those papers, just to see what they look like. Let's jump into the motion. They call it the motion. We used to call it a motion for an order shortening time. In California, that's what we would call it. And it makes perfect sense if you're in the system. If you normally need 20 days to notice a motion, let's say in California, that's normal, 20 days, but you only got 10 for whatever reason, for discovery issues, for trial issues. So you have to bring a motion for an order shortening that 20 days. Yeah. So it's called a motion for order shortening time. Okay, so now we only have 5 days, Judge. You need the court's approval to do that.
Yeah. And
so what he's done here is asked for, I'm calling it the hurry up motion. That's what I've put on this document here. Let me find it, bring it in for our listening and viewing pleasure. There we go. The hurry up motion brings it into this Thursday. So there he is, Justin Alien, here and after father. Interesting, right? It could have said petitioner or whatever, plaintiff, no. father. So to give the brief procedural background of the minor child, talking about he's had this complaint now for the custody, support, parenting pursuant to the code, abuse prevention order. That's what led to taking the child, right?
Mhm.
And then I think there's a second page of this, which
And while you're going to it,
find that.
and remember, I've told you about the game in this. The reason why he's filing for the 18 years is because the longer you keep that baby away from her, okay, the courts will look only to the best interest of the child. They'll look to see, has the child bonded with somebody else? Would it hurt the child to go back to bonding with the mother? Even if you have the visitation, even if you have the reunification theory, all right, they'll look at all that for who gets the main custody, and maybe total custody, because he's making a sound assuming that she's going to go to jail for this. And so the reunification, is he required to bring the child to prison once a week, or is that has to wait till she completes her prison? I mean, Missy points out that her parents had to file for visitation.
Yeah,
this, so that
there was a grandparent's note. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So he's by doing this, he's already setting the course of the courts in the direction of the courts are all going to look at these issues. And the longer she stays in jail, the longer she stays away from that child, the longer it's likely that he's going to get custody.
The better for him, no doubt about it. The worse for the child, of course, but hey, the better for him. So here's the actual order after that request. The short order request is granted. Set up for 10/23. That's Thursday, 8:30 a.m. At the Essex Probate and Family Court, which is in Salem. So it's going to be an interesting day. There's the theory that some of us might be up there, not confirmed just yet, but sources say
somebody may be up there. Somebody that
may
we
be up there
know. I wonder who that could possibly be.
With a freshly minted press credential.
The person I have to file for my press credentials. I don't have them yet.
Yeah.
By the way, you're very clever. This rails you, Jermaine 6. It's pronounced a-hole.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to zoom in. I twisted it sideways.
I thought you were wooing because somebody's as snarky as you can be. Very cleverly snarky.
It's spelled Aylan. Alayan. So, is that right? Alayan?
Yeah, Alayan, something like that.
Something
Alayan.
like that.
I've heard the news media pronounce it different things. Best to hear him pronounce it.
Normally, this is just.
But you'll find out on Thursday.
I don't know if he's of Armenian descent or not, but IAN quite often is of Armenian descent.
Yeah. By the way, Joyce Mayher points out, look what the Adelson family did to the Markel family. Okay, if you don't think that custody and all of a sudden the bonding with the children matters, okay, it's incredibly important. I remember she was breastfeeding and the child was taken away from her. So then the child's bottle feeding with him holding the child, with the parents holding the child, with the other family members. The only one not holding the child is Kelsey.
Yeah, exactly. So I will. I think I will continue to call him Alien just for my own.
Well, it'd be interesting if you go up there Thursday and say, Mr. Alien.
Mr. Alien. Mr. Alien.
Mr. Alien, here's my little microphone. Can I get an interview with you?
Oh, yeah. And then Barbara Bourne, hold 2854. She's going with Alien as well. So, I do want to see the guy face to face and just ask him just a couple of questions, which he may or may not answer. Maybe his attorney will answer, but I just want to see the guy, see what he looks like, see what his demeanor is. Sometimes I'm not giving him this benefit of the doubt, but sometimes the posture taken in pleadings does not reflect the person, if I can put that properly. This guy may be the best meaning guy on the planet, that he truly is concerned about the welfare of this child. I don't know. I'd like to. I can read that, I think, from seeing the guy, and I'd like to do that. So.
Yeah. All right. So we have two things I want to point out. Jermaine 6, North Andover firefighter was taking pictures of people at the Stand Up for Kelsey on Saturday. Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I would say proudly, take my picture. Why are you taking my picture?
Where
Please
was that?
To use it. Yeah.
Was that at? I know there was talk about it being at the North Andover Police Department. which I'm guessing is somewhere near the fire department. That's not uncommon. Where, what, if you know, tell us where that standout was.
Yeah.
Um,
And Joyce Mayhar asked that there's a Kimmy 2002 asked the question or statement you said to me or Michael Linda in the chat, please. Yeah, whatever it is. If you do it, Missy should take a look at it. What would you like to? If not, you can always put it into the comments after the show ends once the show populates, and we try to get to those comments sometime. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Michael, sometimes it's Missy, sometimes it's none of us because we're so damn tired, you know. But we appreciate them. We do read.
This is my theory here, just because East Texas had that's the wrong one. Sorry. I can't catch up sometimes. These
I know they go so fast. I know.
It had to do with the IAN suggesting Armenian. I went to school in Central California, which is a huge Armenian enclave. They just happen to settle a lot of folks there. So a lot of friends with IAN at the end of their names.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. So you'll probably be there. It sounds like it's a 3-hour drive.
I'm leaning toward. I might have to spend the night beforehand because here's the problem.
It's a long
whereas Dedham, Canton, the Triangle of Evil is all south of Boston by about 20 minutes. Salem is north of Boston, which means if you're trying to get there at 8:30 in the morning, and you're going not necessarily through the heart of town, but anywhere in the metro complex there, it's probably a 4.5-hour drive.
Right. And people are going for Halloween these weekends, and it may go on
and just
weekends.
9-to-5ers are going to work, you know.
Right. It's a nightmare.
I get caught in that. I hate to get so close and then be screwed because traffic.
Right.
So we'll talk about it. We'll have a meeting on that. See if we can requisition the proper funds to stay overnight Wednesday night, so I can be there bright and early.
Funds. I hear you talking. The proper funds.
Yes. Well, you know, it's
and food. The funds and food. Where are those donuts?
That's a little bit further than Joy Kane might come with the pastries. But,
it's.
I'll make do.
Yeah.
I'll make do. I feel like there's something. Is there anything else we were going to talk about that we didn't get to?
Something else. We talked about the motion being filed. When do we expect? Okay, so that was the motion. Is the motion itself have the follow-up papers that are attached to it, and have we seen those?
What are we talking about now?
Was the motion that Brado filed for Kelsey today?
Only a notice has been filed, and a memorandum will follow. But my speculation is that it will be brief because it's going to reference, as the rules require, what was already submitted.
And it can't be longer than 10
It
pages.
can't be longer than 10, even if it's anything. And I can't imagine he's going to burden them with more unless there's a little something he kind of forgot about. We talked before, remember about the ADA portion of the claim?
Right.
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Federal portion,
it was not addressed by the Commonwealth. It was not addressed by Justice Bessie, probably because procedurally it's a little out of whack. You know, you might have to go through administrative remedies, exhaust those before you get there. But it was good to bring it up as an issue. Maybe it's a little foreshadowing for those that are going to be continuing to fight the Fitzsimmons case. But that's why it probably was not addressed either by the Commonwealth or by the court.
Okay, so George Mayer, Linda, and Michael, they were asking if there's any connection between the judge and the firefighter best friend, boyfriend, making the judges so bad. Who knows? And this is Boston. I mean, who
I haven't seen anything, but there's a lot of incestuousness, and I don't mean that as negatively as it sounds, but there's a lot of cross pollination there. You know, my brother's on the force, and I got an uncle who's over here. So it would not shock me, but I've not seen anything.
Right. To suggest that there's any bias that would change it. And Madeira Beach caregiver talk about Marcy trial verdict. Actually, we're going to try to do a show on that. We're trying to get a special guest on the Marcy trial verdict. It's interesting. I know a little bit about that case because my husband did do a report on that, saying exactly the man who got convicted, apparently, from what I understand. I asked him, "Are you involved?" And I said, "How do you feel about this?" And he said, "Well, he did die of neck compression." So I guess the guy who got convicted, the officer who got convicted, Kingsley, the jury apparently found that he died of neck compression. And he was the one who came in after he was assaulted. So the jury took the time and parsed things out and all. But we're trying to get a special guest on, somebody who, if Missy, I think you forgot today to go after a special guest. And if the special guest can come on, we may ask my husband to join us for a little bit. And we'll try to do a show on that. If we can put this together on Wednesday night, or at least half a show on the Marcy corrections on it. But my husband's involved in some board. He was involved many years in some board in New York State where they reviewed any death in custody. So I think has to do with that. I'll have to find. I don't know the specifics. I'm talking out of my ear here, but I know a little. I know. Oh, Jesus, Michael, a little bit about that. So yeah, we do want to talk about that because it's a big deal up in that area. And the jury did take their time, obviously, and they must have sat on it over the weekend and had the verdict, and then they delivered it this morning after they got in.
I know there was a couple of Adelson issues. Oh, I know. I want to share we had a poll. We've had 2 polls out there on the Adelson case before we break this thing up. And the question was really as to Harvey, as to Wendy. Same question. Do you think Harvey Adelson will be arrested for the death of Dan Markel? And the questions were broken down into any day now, eventually, or never. For Harvey, and we had 2,000 plus responses on some of these.
Wow.
For Harvey, never was 56%. Never. And a lot of people took the time to comment, which we appreciate, saying, here's why. Here's why they thought that would not happen. And most of them thought it was just that the evidence didn't exist. We don't know that. But from the trials we've seen, can't disagree that they connect him, but is it enough to prove anything concretely to a jury? But for Wendy, well, the numbers were a little bit different. The numbers were, let me see if I can, any day now was 30%, and eventually was 55%. So we're talking 85% of the folks say it'll either happen any day or eventually.
Interesting. We'll have to see. I think it depends if we see Georgia Kappelman leave the office and go on to the different things. I think you're going to know the answer pretty quickly. Joey Kane. So Michel, one of the cases is for Mrs. I'll be there.
Okay, you're gonna be there, Joey. Okay, good. If you're gonna be there, you can help me with the man on the street effort. So.
Oh yes, Michael's big on the man on the street effort. I argued with him. I told him his person on the street. He said no, it's man on the street.
No, because I'm the one asking the questions. I'm not looking at
so
who I'm talking to. If it's man
it.
on the street, then I can only interview men. That would be weird. Yeah. And in the business, that's called the MOS. So
man on street.
We're doing MOSs.
And MOSs. So we expect to have a show Thursday night. Dealing with the Fusco case. Michael's expecting to be there on Thursday. Whoa, I dropped my glasses, so I don't want to see the gendarmes coming for me, right? And then Wednesday, we're hoping to do a show on Marcy along with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And tomorrow night, we're going to continue on with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Okay.
And whatever else
pops up, which is
they had so many things going on. So many things.
So many things going on.
The Procta Facta, that's just what a chicken shit that guy is. And what's in that phone? Again, for those who may have joined late, he's dropped his attempt to get his job back. I can't imagine it had anything to do with what they found in his phone going back to 2013, which allegedly includes homophobia, misogynist materials,
right,
other nasty stuff that would be pretty much in line with what we heard in the Karen Reed case about Mr. Procta. Yeah. So, and I know that stuff's coming out one way or the other. It's going to be ugly, and he's not going to be able to get a job as a security guard at Target. So,
well, I read something just before. Somebody had Twitter that his wife wasn't taking this well. Well,
there's been speculation that this boggles my mind that her claim to fame, her reason for living, is to be married to a cop, which I don't understand. I mean, it's a fine profession, but that's the end all be all. So there's some thought, that he was fighting to get his job back to keep his wife. So yeah. Too bad. Boo-hoo.
Well, that's boo-hoo is right. Let's deal with Kelsey. We have rescuing Kelsey.
Oh, that's what it was. I forgot to mention.
Okay.
Did you forget this too? We've reached out to the Scram Corporation, and it sounds.
I was waiting for you. This is your
thing. I forgot. I
That's why
forgot.
I went back to rescuing Kelsey.
I reached out to the Scram Corporation to find out the cost and the method by which we at Just to Serve TV could pay for that process. For the monitor, for the ankle monitor, you're gonna have to sell some jewels, gonna cash those in. And by the way, the reason they steal those jewels is because you can fence them easier. You just take the jewels out of the jewelry. Paintings, forget about it. Anyway, so we're offering to pay for the wristlet, no, it's an anklet, and the monitoring service. And I've checked through Essex County. There's a company, I think it's called Paymer. They are already hooked up with the system and those different devices. Now, we can't, as a private individual, hey, can I go get myself but we can arrange to fund it. And we're doing that. We're offering that.
We're offering it. Just to have you know, let's put it on there. Justice Serve TV is offering to fund the other Scram devices, the one that you can put on your ankles for Kelsey Fitzsimmons, or even pay for, if that's necessary, the alternative testing for her. All right. We've made that offer. We made that approach. This was Michael Bryant's idea. I'm going to give him full credit for it. And that's through you, because of all the donations that you have made
there you go.
to Justice Serve TV in the past year we've been on, through the up to soon to be, maybe eventually 32,000 subscribers that we have.
Yeah, I think, and it's not an exorbitant expense. So before you suggest we must be rolling in dough, no, it's not very expensive. It's just a matter of making it happen. Obviously, the court's got to be okay with it. But remember, it's normally the probie, the probationer, the person on release that pays. Right. So we're willing to do that. We just need to make sure it happens. So
Madeira Beach caregiver, I'll support that. When will we know? $20. Michael, when will we know? We've reached out. We talked about it over the weekend. You reached out today. You did all the research on it. So we should make that announcement, Missy, that we have offered to pay for whatever her costs are for the monitoring when she's out for alcohol. Yep.
Yeah. So it's not a function of when, it's more if, because if they don't let her out, it's irrelevant. So we're just trying to help out when she gets out, and we certainly hope that happens sooner rather than later. So
all right, everyone.
Thank you for reminding me. I don't know why I forgot about that, but it
was the lead thing of the. I know. We get off track and all with the lipstick and everything else, but I think it's a nice way to end the show to remind you that sometimes it's good to stay to the end. It's kind of like a football game, unless you're with my Jets. All right, to stay to the end.
How about the Giants? The Giants look very Jets-like. What the hell is going on there? People who watched that last night, I'm sure couldn't believe it. It's the first time in more than 40 years somebody's given up that many points to lose a game in the fourth quarter. Whew. Feels good to be a Rams fan. Okay.
It feels good. It feels good to do what we're doing. Michael Bryant and I feel very good about reaching out to say that we will pay for her scrim. Not the one that's going to, we want the ankle one, or we want alternative testing. We will pay for that. We're not going to pay for her to be put back in jail by some judge sitting on the bench who doesn't have any heart or any decency.
Yeah. Yep, that is true. All right, then. I'm Michael Bryant. She is Linda Kenney Baden. We are Just to Serve TV, and we're just trying to do the right thing.
On the sky.